Howdy, folks. I'm Genial Gruss, generically greeting gregarious geese.
I'm Amber.
And here are more gregarious geese for us to greet, even if we are a swan?
Crane.
A crane? We're not made of paper here, but we are, indeed, not real, because we're, again, birds. Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Kicking Out My Brother and Nephew because he played a dangerous prank on my daughter? My brother and his son Eli, a 9-year-old, recently got evicted because my brother lost his job. My wife and I took them in because we have more room in our house than my aging parents do in their condo. My wife and I have a daughter, Naomi, a 12-year-old. Now, my brother considers himself a jokester. And it was funny when we were kids, but in my opinion, it's immature at his age. He passed this on to Eli, which is funny since he's 9. Eli's favorite prank is hiding other people's stuff. Naomi is deathly allergic to many common things, so having an EpiPen on hand is absolutely necessary. 2 weeks ago, Eli hid Naomi's EpiPen and she freaked out. She wasn't having an allergic reaction at the time, but still, the thing is this. The EpiPen was on the shelf, which Eli is too short to reach. My brother admitted to helping Eli with his prank, and I chewed him out about it. I told him that if either he or Eli hid Naomi's pen again, I would kick them out. I explained how Naomi could die without it, and my brother seemed to understand. Well, last week Naomi actually did have an allergic reaction and needed her EpiPen, and it wasn't where she put it. Eli rushed up to the guest room to get it, and thank goodness we were able to inject her before it got really bad. After I was done helping my daughter, I told my brother to get packing. He said that I wasn't being fair because Eli had stolen it on his own this time, and that it was just a prank, and that Eli is just a little kid, etc. Pretty much everyone is mad at me because my parents really don't have that much space for 2 extra people in their home. They're calling me heartless for kicking them out over a kid's prank. Alright, folks, what do you think? Innocent prank or not or jerk or not the jerk?
Definitely not the jerk here. It doesn't matter what anyone's intentions were. What matters is that this is life-threatening.
Yeah.
This never should have been done in the first place. OP's brother should have known better than to hide people's medical devices. And the fact that he encouraged his son and helped his son do this is not okay. And after that first time, OP was generous enough to not kick them out immediately. And what does his son do? Goes and takes it again. I don't know if OP's brother was involved or not, but either way, he should have had a serious talk with his son and been like, oh, we can't take this because she might die.
Yeah, I mean, it isn't funny or a prank when it's somebody's life is on the line. And seeing as how he knew exactly where it was, I question whether or not he did help his son or not, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't like his son, was it Eli that ran upstairs? Or, oh no, it was Eli was the little kid, so he did actually. I got confused about that fact there. I thought that was his brother that ran up to get the pen. Yeah, Eli's the little kid, and he made a poor choice. He's old enough to know better. His father should have told him that, this wasn't a funny thing for us to do. It could have put her life at risk. And instead, what does he do? He goes ahead and does something that could have cost her life.
Right. I mean, OP's brother is being a seriously irresponsible parent. Like, first of all, pranks, hiding people's stuff in general is not usually funny. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to hide people's stuff, to hide things that they, like, he knows how important the EpiPen is. The 9-year-old may not have gotten it the first time around, but the brother is old enough to know that is an actual medical device that saves people's lives.
Yeah.
And so he's not being a good parent. His son is, not being a good cousin. And, like, again, regardless of his intentions, he may mean it to be funny. It doesn't matter what the intentions are if your child ends up dead.
Yeah. Well, here's the problem. They hid it this one time, and they hid it twice, right? Mm-hmm. Who's to say they'll hide it a third time, and on the third time, they don't find it in time, or they're not around? What happens if Eli hadn't been around when she had her episode? What they did here was completely irresponsible. I mean, this really could have ended her life. And they're fortunate that they were around and that it didn't turn into a tragedy, but OP can't take that risk.
No.
OP can't take the risk that his daughter will end up dead because of another short-sighted incident here, right?
Yeah, well, and what I don't get is the grandparents, too, seem to, oh, it's just a kid's prank. Again, if their grandchild could literally die from this.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, oh, he hid her favorite stuffed animal or something, which still wouldn't be cool, and OP would still be within his right to kick them out. But, like, we're talking about life or death here.
Yeah, well, I think they're probably viewing this as, well, she didn't die, nothing bad happened. He was able to find it in time without really seeing the bigger picture of this could have been it could have gone very differently had he not been around or had, any a number of things gone wrong here, right?
Yeah, and again, there's no saying this won't happen again, like you pointed
Yeah,
out. Like, OP cannot risk this happening a third time.
exactly. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Petronsky says, not the jerk, 9-year-old is plenty old enough to understand that that is not okay. And OP replies, you would think so, wouldn't you? And Mountain Key 5673 says, I bet your brother never said a word to his son about how this is a medical device. I asked in my comment, but I may have to ask again because I feel it needs pointing out. What would have happened if Eli wasn't home and wasn't able to retrieve the EpiPen? I shudder at the thought, to be honest. You and me both.
Mm-hmm.
This is a valuable question. And OP replies, if my nephew hadn't been home, I would have had to call 911 and prayed. Not much else I could have done. And that is the whole game right there, folks. This was needlessly reckless. It put her life at risk. And Peregrine Throw says, not the jerk obviously. A side question though, wouldn't it have been a good idea to have at least 2 pens in the house in case something happened to the primary pen, got lost, damaged, malfunctioned, or overlooked the expiration, etc.? How nerve-wracking. Sorry that your brother's not that great of a person. I hope that the nephew was at least terrified and at least apologetic. I guess we can all see your parents enabled this growing up. And OP replies, we did have one, but it was expired and I hadn't had a chance to replace it yet. And no, my nephew wasn't apologetic at all. He was raised rotten, I think. Yeah, I mean, it would have been different if he was like actually apologetic and sorry and everything like that, and on the verge of tears and being like, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to have this happen. But seeing as how he almost committed manslaughter and is unremorseful for it, I do not have any sympathy in the least for them getting kicked out of OP's house. These are not people that you want in your house if they are completely unsympathetic towards your daughter's life. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for being upset that my husband splashed coffee on me on purpose? Since he decided to check in with his coworkers and bring it up at dinner at the last 3 nights, I thought that I would check in here. This seems so silly to me to keep bringing it up. We went to a nice dinner out Saturday night before another event. Nice restaurant, tablecloth, etc. We were laughing and enjoying dinner. Really a great evening. My husband, myself, and our 2 teens. At the end of the dinner, we all ordered a cappuccino with dessert. The kids added a ton of sugar to theirs, and with permission, I reached my spoon over to my daughter's cappuccino to taste hers. As I was carefully bringing the spoon back to my mouth, and he intentionally, as a joke, when the spoon of coffee got close to my face, grabbed my arm and then shook it, splashing it on my face, shirt, and the tablecloth. Not a huge mess, but it took 2 little cocktail napkins to clean up. I didn't laugh, and he was cracking up. It hurt my feelings and embarrassed me. My eyes started to well up, but determined not to ruin the night, I just cleaned up. The kids were not impressed with his antics, which, speculating here, was probably why he apologized. I accepted his "I'm sorry, but I was just messing with you" apology. When he noticed my eyes were welling up, he said very loudly, "Oh my goodness, are you freaking crying?" To which I replied, "No, I'm not." Then went back to enjoying the night and the after-dinner event, determined not to let it mess up our family date night. I thought that it was over, but the last 2 nights of our family dinner, he has made jabs every single time someone mentions really anything. He will say, "At least I didn't cry and ruin dinner," over and over again. Mind you, not a single tear ever fell. Mascara was not compromised, not an eye was dabbed except to get the coffee off my face. When even the kids were like, okay, this is getting old, he said that sometimes he forgets that he can't roughhouse with me like the guys. So I said, okay, name one time where you have thrown food at one of your guy friends or coworkers. He could not. I said, even with your best friend, when have you, as an adult in your late 30s or early 40s, been out and been like, F it, I'm going to splash this drink and be funny? He couldn't. Still not fighting about it. Just making a point, like it's not normal behavior. So then today, for the third day at dinner, he comes to tell a story about how his coworker was out at a nice restaurant and had an intrusive thought and flung mashed potatoes on his wife's face. Now, I have met this coworker and I just said, I doubt this happened. I will for sure ask about it next time I see him. And then he said, can you guess how it came up? And I said, obviously you're still talking about the coffee incident from Saturday. Anyways, am I the jerk for being upset about this but not making any big deal about it? Simply not laughing at my own expense. Alright folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. I mean, it's very clear here that Opie's husband knows he did something wrong, and so he's just trying to get everyone to side with him so he doesn't feel bad for what he did. He should feel bad. What he did was really rude and uncalled for.
Yeah, I love how he's trying to be like, oh, my friend did the same thing, when, I mean, everyone sees through this, right? He's the only one who's hung up on this.
Right, well, and even if his friend did do the same thing, that wouldn't make it right.
Oh, yeah.
Just because someone else throws potatoes at their wife doesn't mean you're off the hook now.
No, exactly. One of the things is that being an adult, you sometimes have to admit when you're wrong, right? And that's part of being an adult. You take your blows as they come, right? And you say, look, I just exercised poor judgment. I had some intrusive thoughts. I realize now that it wasn't funny, and I'm sorry, right? And there's no harm in apologizing when you do something like this, and I think that he just doesn't want to apologize. And I think, again, we all do sometimes act on an intrusive thought every once in a while, and it's not necessarily because we mean to or whatnot, but it is one of those things where it's like, maybe you've acted on this and you just immediately regret it or something like that.
Well, I think it's more than that. I think it's a clear lack of disrespect for OP. I think it's a clear lack of respect for OP because, as she pointed out, he's never done this to his other friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's something about OP, he respects her little enough that he was okay doing something that he knows he shouldn't have done.
Yeah. Well, and again, like, he may have done this, as like he said, with an intrusive thought, but that doesn't justify him doing it, and he still needs to apologize, right? And just because you act on an impulse doesn't mean that you get to get away with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if that were the case, then the world would devolve into chaos, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What did the neutron say to the electron?
Well, the neutron said to the electron, I am not attracted to you at all.
I mean, that is one thing that they could say. Why do you have to be so negative all the time?
I suppose so. I suppose so. And I have to make a mint. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Manic Monday. I hope your Monday is going great. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please have it involve a prank.
Life-threatening pranks are not pranks. They're manslaughter at best. Attempted manslaughter at best.
Yeah, I mean, that is a good moral. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye!